Welcome to Weeks Ahead AI, where business owners learn how to use AI to save time, cut costs, and stay weeks ahead.
Welcome back to Weeks Ahead AI. I'm Brad. We've got Mitch and Terry again with us here, and we also have another guest today, Rebecca Andreessen. Welcome, Rebecca.
Thank you. Thank you for
Full
having
house
me.
today.
It is a full
What
house.
a cool last name.
Oh, yeah. It's the
That
best.
sounds sophisticated.
She is very sophisticated. Rebecca is the president of Northbridge Management, so runs all the property management division for Northbridge, our real estate, vertically integrated real estate group. And so Rebecca's been with us for 7 or 8 years.
8 years.
8 years, and just is an absolute rock star. So as great as AI is, we'd be absolutely dead without Rebecca. I can say that for sure.
You figure it out with AI.
Well, we've invited Rebecca to join us today because we're going to talk about a very specific tool, AI agent that we built to serve the kind of some of the challenges that you were facing in running that division. And so we'll just jump right into it. Really, that's again kind of what we're wanting to talk about in this podcast is real ways that we can each use these tools in our businesses. And so wanted to give a very specific example of something that we've done in our business that really has moved the needle. So we're going to dive right into it. Terry, tell us about kind of how this specific agent came about, why we went with this one.
This was one of the very first things that we did with AI. Yeah. Aside from using ChatGPT to talk about crazy things that didn't matter, this was the first real business case where we used AI. And we were super excited about the possibilities of what it could do, but we didn't really know, how could it practically be used? And so went to Rebecca and said, Rebecca, what are your top 3 time sucks that just consume time that if you could have that time back, you'd be much more productive? And she happened to be in the first part of a month where she was closing out the prior month, and she was buried with reviewing
Hundreds of reports.
Yes. And so she explained to me how much time that took and that it wasn't super complicated, but very time consuming. And so at that point, we just went back and said, hey, is this something that AI could solve? Mm-hmm. So we just started, investigating what would need to be done. And we found someone who could build this agent for us. And so, I think we went from Rebecca had the request to we had something actually built and usable in about, if I remember right, it was about 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it wasn't perfect, but that's kind of how the whole thing started. And so why don't you tell us?
Yeah, what was the challenge? So, what is the grind of the challenge that you got?
With asset management, property management, we are responsible to deliver really 0 defect financial statements to our clients on a monthly basis. And in order to do that, it requires the person responsible to make sure all of the quality control processes are in place to make sure that financial is accurate. The other kind of piece of the process is, as an asset manager, to be able to go through and evaluate what is the financial telling me about how the property operates. And so for me, it was really a twofold process. Is my accounting, are the accounting documents correct? Are they in proper order, with our table of contents and how we want to present our report to our client? Mm-hmm. And then also, is the data correct for me to be able to operate the property against my budget every month? So really, it helps me looking at it every month to analyze where I am in that month and year to date to make my budget, to make it on time and on budget.
Mm-hmm. So just back up, you have a team of accountants who are preparing these for you.
Correct. But those accountants don't necessarily know the intricacies of operating the property, and they might not know if something is off on the financial statement. So that's why it requires somebody at the management level to review it and make sure it's accurate.
They're entering the fact that the water bill was
Correct.
$7,000, but that
Hopefully
might
it
not
wasn't.
jump.
Yes,
but that might
yes.
not stand out to them like it does to you. That
Correct.
wait, we've got a water problem. Something's going on here.
Exactly.
And how many of these financial packages at the time we built this? How many packages were you preparing at the end of every month, or not preparing but reviewing?
Around 100.
Around 100.
Wow.
So in each package, average
It's about
how many
45
pages
to 50, 60 pages
per property?
per property per month.
So
Right.
can you do the math real quick, Mitch? You're the smart.
7.
seven hours.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, a lot of
We
us
We do
would.
provide very comprehensive financial reports, which is industry
Bank
standard.
recs.
Correct.
I mean, you're
General
getting into
ledgers, profit
I
and
think
loss.
for a
balance
lot
sheet.
of people that would end up being just because of the nature of the workload, just trying to skim that as quickly as possible and get through it. Rebecca, I know, though, doesn't do it that way, right? And you're very thorough in your review. And so, what kind of time were you spending on a monthly basis?
It would take me 1 to 2 days a month of getting through all of those. And, who can really devote 1 to 2 days a month solid?
So it ends up being 4.
It ends up being more because you're interrupted so many times with other more pressing matters, but you have deadlines for financials as well. So there is a time requirement to it. And this is just, it's been amazing that the freedom that it's given me back in my day.
Awesome. So let's talk about. So you understood now. She told you about the problem. What was the next step?
Well, I remember her saying, I remember thinking, oh my gosh, 50 pages per property? Like, this is massive. I can't believe that you need that much. And I remember her saying at the time, she was a bit skeptical, if I recall, because you said, I have certain customers, because there's some third-party management, and then there's some properties that we own ourselves. And you said, I have some third-party clients that will sit there, and I can promise you they'll go through every single line of the general ledger. Mm-hmm. And there's a couple that you specifically named, and they're like, if there's an error, they're going to catch it. And
Right.
so she said, like, I can't risk not being accurate,
Which
Because-
takes even more time when they find the error, right?
Right, because an error in a financial is so much worse than a piece of trash on the ground that doesn't get picked up. I mean, they have to be right. People make financial investment decisions based on those financial statements, and it's critical. It's critical. So we understand the importance of that, and we want to deliver a quality product without cutting corners.
So when did we actually have this built, and when did you start using it
I
approximately?
think it was around June, May or June, when it was fully tuned up. We started, I think, back in March. But it took a couple of months of working with it, just like training a new employee. It doesn't happen the moment that they start.
And you needed
So-
to be able to trust it. So
Right,
you wanted to
right.
run a couple of months through there
Right.
and run your old system, run the new
Correct.
system, and
We
decide
ran
if you
those
could trust it.
simultaneously to make sure we could trust it.
Well, so going back to you identified the problem. So how did y'all determine? I know, Mitch, you were involved in some of that. How did y'all determine how to fix it, or who to go to, what to do with this? It's great to say, okay, we think we've got a problem we can fix. What do we do with this problem?
Tyler Wicks.
Tyler
Team
Wicks.
AI Tech.
Tyler Wicks built this agent for us. And at the time, I think it was relatively new for a lot of people to do this, and that's why it took a little bit longer. And not to steal Mitch's thunder, but if you fast forward today, Mitch was able to rebuild this agent. What took us 6 weeks, Mitch was able to do, I don't know, how long did it take you to rebuild this?
It took like probably 3.5 hours to get it rebuilt, and rebuilt is a little bit of probably a little bit too loose. We basically just copied it.
Yeah.
And relaunched it onto another platform because we were trying to get a larger context window.
We had the code, and so we were able to rebuild it quicker. But the point is that, it was new enough that it took a lot of time, and then we were having to explain to the programmer who built it, we were having to explain certain intricacies about our business and why we needed it to display a certain way, and why the calculations were precision mattered, and so it took time to get it going. And I think as AI has evolved and as some of the tools have evolved, I just don't think I know today it won't take as long to get that built.
But this is not something that you just drop into ChatGPT and say, hey, analyze this for me, right? You've built a very specific. Yeah, we tried that. That didn't work. This is what we're referring to the industry's calling agents, right? AI agents. This is agentic work. It was built to do this very specific task and do it well and do it over and over. It doesn't need to. It's kind of like Dr. Dillon was talking about last week. Doesn't need the full LLM. It needs kind of more of an SLM, the small language model.
Yeah, because when you're using the retail chat interfaces that you see, they're designed to get you an answer as fast and as cheap as possible. And so they will do what's called RAG engineering, where it breaks the document up and sends it off. And the challenge you have is it will paraphrase. And so if it sees the same line item 4 or 5 different times within a report, it'll start making its own assumption. But when you had something custom built, you're able to actually dictate that it doesn't do that a certain way. And so you can command the RAG engineering to be done a certain way that also has safety checks in there to make sure that the number matches what it's supposed to, or this being pulled from the right document. Because as Rebecca and I saw the other day when we were playing with it, it would, if you didn't have it in there correctly, it would just average 3 numbers together that were the same and give you an answer. But when she's like, no, it specifically has to come from this page within the financial report, then that went away and it got the number correct. Okay. So there's a fair amount of work that Rebecca's had to do to make sure that the right number comes through on this. And a lot of that is really, she trains it like an employee, right, Rebecca?
That's right. You have to train it and then check it and let it work and then check it again. So it doesn't happen overnight, but really your instruction, however good your training is to your employee, is going to dictate how the employee turns out. It's the same concept with this. If you don't give it a good prompt or give it good instructions, it gets confused. It doesn't understand what you're looking for. Mm-hmm. So really the time that you spend up front in telling it how you want it to display information or what you don't want from it is also important as well.
Yeah.
So I want to get back to how she's using this.
Yeah.
And if you say 50 pages times 100, right, that there's a lot of paper that comes to your desk on a monthly basis. So you were getting this, you were going through there?
In a PDF scan, yes. It would come in a PDF scan to me, and I would sit on my computer and go through it page by page per property.
That sounds miserable.
Yeah.
It really does.
No headache at the end of the day.
Oh, my eyes hurt a little, but yeah.
So fast forward to today. What does it look like for you today?
Well, what I have now is I've set my accounting team up with logins to the agent, and they upload the financial for me, and I gave it some prompts that I was looking for, and it would say verified. So it tells my prompts back to me and that it's verified. It also, so I can read that and spot check those prompts, but it also gives me variance to budget information. So it gives me that financial aspect that I'm looking at in order to operate the property against my budget. It gives me critical data by each general ledger account line, whether it's income or expense. And it allows me to get information. And if I have a question when I'm in there, I could ask it a question to be more specific about something, and I wouldn't have to find it on page 32 and, dig in deeper. It's interactive. So
do the accountants who are preparing these documents, they have access to this agent
Correct.
as well?
Correct.
And are they using that to filter it before you get it?
Correct. I asked them, please don't ever send me a report that hasn't gone through my agent.
So what do you type to get it started? Why don't we show everyone, and then we can keep kind of talking as it does some processing, because it's not a 3-second get an answer as fast as possible, right? It's really got to send it off and do some work. So what do you type?
Just ask it to analyze this PDF.
So we've dropped in here a generic company and address. This is Dunder Mifflin's financial report, right?
I don't know how we got it, but we found it.
So we're dropping in a financial report. It's been scrubbed for all the confidential information that needs to be out of this. But just as an example, upload it there. And so you just say, analyze.
Correct.
And by analyze, y'all have worked behind the scenes to tell it what that means.
right.
So our prompt for this is like 2 pages long,
Correct.
and we've given it very
Detailed
specific,
instructions.
including the format that you want it to come back and display.
Correct.
So it doesn't matter if you've got 10 separate accountants working on it. You run it through this tool.
It all looks the same deliverable to me.
So y'all created the template of the things you wanted it to analyze
Correct.
every time and how you wanted that format to be or come back at you. And you can edit that, I guess.
We
can.
Yeah.
And it was honestly that was part of the challenge in getting this built, because I think it was a great exercise, but it was initially a challenge for Rebecca to go, well, I don't really know. I know what I do, but now I have to tell you. And then we had to get it down. It was a bit of work to get it down on paper and then run it through an exercise and then go, okay, wait, we left out 4 things. Right. And so it was kind of this evolution of getting it.
Right.
So when you look at the screen here, you see this is the analyzation that it's done. Is that a word, analyzation?
In Mitch
Analysis.
vocabulary.
I sold dog food for a living for a long time. So this is the analysis. So you were saying that you got a confirmed status for your
Correct.
key 8 questions.
Correct.
And so if you get that confirmed status, you're happy with what you're sending out.
Yes.
Is that correct? Okay.
That's correct.
And then as you look down, it provides some further analysis.
That's right. It gives you kind of the financial analysis requirements that we like to see on each report for that second piece of what we're doing. The first piece is really accounting quality control on the report. The second piece is, as the asset manager, how am I doing against my budget?
And so when you see that up there, it's already flagging the 3 things that you would need to go inspect.
Correct.
So Rebecca would tell it if we experience a variance greater than 3% in this case, I want you to specifically call that out. Uh-huh. And she could set that to 2.5. She could set that to 14. Yeah. It doesn't matter. But she has some very specific criteria that she wants to draw special attention to it, so that she can go look at that specific line item. And
Right. To be more specific on the first piece of it, for example, I want it to tell me that on my balance sheet, my assets equal my total assets equal my total liabilities and equity. Because if those don't match, something has not been balanced properly in the books. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of a first control piece that I look at. And then, there's additional control pieces that you want to have throughout the report to make sure that accounting hasn't, fat-fingered something or something's not reconciled properly. Mm-hmm. Then the second half of it is really more financial operation of the property. Just like Brad mentioned earlier, do we have a huge expense in one of our expense line items? And so this is just a trigger for me to see, okay, I need to dive into this deeper. And I could ask it, tell me about that expense. Tell me what you find.
So you said that it took about 6 weeks to build it. That include the training and the testing, or that was kind of, hey, now it's ready to be tested and played with?
It was ready to be tested.
Okay.
And I think that time frame today is less than 6 weeks.
For sure, it is.
But I think then she used, it was a couple of months really that you used it before you were like, okay, I trust it.
Yes.
Let's go.
Yes, I started really feeling good about it in June, which was for my May financial. So.
Mm-hmm. Couple of months.
I had 2 or 3 accounting cycles where I ran parallel just to make sure it wasn't, and it did. I mean, there were a couple times where it hallucinated answers, and I was like, why is it lying to me? Mm-hmm. And it's just like you have to work through the prompt. That just means I didn't tell it right. I didn't tell it something properly in the beginning, potentially.
And Mitch, just from an engineering standpoint, you've learned a lot about this, and some of the hallucinations that occur can be mitigated by doing certain things on the back end that you understand and I don't. And Brad doesn't.
Yeah, a lot of it's when
Don't throw me under the bus.
A lot of it's the work you do when you integrate the API. And so since you're not integrating directly with ChatGPT or with Claude, you're integrating with OpenAI, their LLM, or with Anthropic. And so you're building your own kind of guardrails to directly correlate with that LLM. And when you go the retail method, where you just go to ChatGPT, you get all the guardrails that they have built in for everybody already. And so it's going to give you a much broader answer, and a lot of times not the narrow scope. And what Rebecca's looking for is very defined and very clear on what she wants for an answer. And so when you build that into the API integration, you can put some checks in there to keep it from hallucinating. And the new retail ones, like, they do a really good job of not hallucinating, but sometimes they make assumptions. And they don't really know exactly what they're working for. So if you just say analyze these financials to ChatGPT, it may take a really broad brush, and it may randomly decide that it's going to compare it against properties in Seattle or Oregon. And by doing it the way you've done it, like, it knows that you're in North Texas and these properties are located here, and that's where it does research. So that when you ask it a question like we did here, that the tenants are threatening to move out without a lower rate, it'll actually go in and compare it to market rent rates in your area, so that she has a better idea. So that when Rebecca comes to you guys and say, hey, we're at risk of losing Schrute Farms, for example, but they're under market rent, then you can just say, that's fine, we're going to find someone better that can handle this rental rate, that's probably a better long-term customer.
So now that you've tested it and you feel comfortable that it's giving you correct information.
Yes.
I think Terry's mentioned you have your accountants first run it through,
Right.
and then you run it through as well.
I don't run it through again. I just verify by going back to the agent and looking at.
Okay.
If
You
I
look
need
at the history of them putting the report
Correct.
through and analyzing.
Correct.
So that is a cool feature, is, as the accountant interacts with this agent, Rebecca has visibility so that she can see all of their interactions. And so if it caught 2 or 3 things, then they correct it, they load it again, they run it through again, and then she gets that confirmation that, hey, everything checked out, so now I feel good about it.
Yeah.
Like, she has that visibility, and I think that's been useful, right?
Now down to the real brass tacks of it. How much time are you saving? What kind of time is this saving for you? How's your life changed?
It's amazing. I would say I spend a total now of an hour to 2 hours in total.
Compared to a couple of days.
Compared to a couple of days. Sometimes 3 hours, just depending on interruptions. You can't really quantify that exactly, but I would say 1 to 3 hours versus 1 to 2 days.
Feedback from clients?
I haven't had any negative. I don't think the client is probably even aware that I'm using it. It's the same. It's better than our human review. It is. I mean, it catches things that I could never catch.
And you're saying you, not even your team. Like, it's just better than you, because
it's better and faster. It's better and faster than me. But somebody has to still watch it. I mean, you can't take your eyes off the road. You'd be in trouble. I mean,
this is the perfect use case for AI and agentic AI, because again, they can do this. I say mundane. I mean, it kind of is mundane. Now, it takes a very critical and thorough review to do it accurately, to do it right. But it's kind of mundane, and it's kind of something that these tools are built perfectly to do. Perfectly. And then it takes that human review of what's the feedback, what's the information it's giving me to say, what do I need to do about this?
Exactly.
Now that it's been analyzed, what do I do? Right.
And that allows people in property management to gather the data very quickly and very accurately, and then make appropriate decisions on how to either, if something has gotten off budget mid-year, we need to correct that before the end of the year. So it allows us to make those decisions that still need to be made, that you still have to take an action. It's just the process of going through it is so much easier now. It's right in front of you, and really that is better and faster than all of us. It really is.
So when you initially built it, it took you 6 weeks. How many hours do you think you had tied up within those 6 weeks of really getting this where you wanted it to be?
Not a ton. I think some of it was just back and forth with the developer. I would say if I had to guess, maybe 10 hours.
Okay.
It wasn't a ton of time. It was just more trying to get it coordinated and getting feedback and playing with it a little bit. So it wasn't that time consuming to get it done.
So you got your time back the very next month, essentially, when you used it.
It truly has been an amazing investment or an ROI on my time.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
How much would you pay for this tomorrow?
Well, we had a little hiccup recently with the file size, and I didn't have access to it for a couple of weeks. And I went back while it was being repaired. I went back to doing it manually, and I remember coming out of my office and saying, I can't believe I have to do this again. Like, this is crazy. Where's my agent?
How quickly you forget,
yes,
right?
it was, I think it's worth a lot of money.
It was like taking your internet away.
Yeah.
We probably, we can talk about what it cost us. And again, I think now, just 6 months later, it would be a fraction of this. But Terry, it costs.
I think we spent. Let me back up. Here's something that I didn't understand when we built it.
Yeah.
I don't think Rebecca or I, either one, really understood. I don't think we really understood like what it really could do. But I've said from the beginning, if you can teach a person to do something, you can teach AI to do it. Yeah. So if you're a business owner, you just think in those terms, like, if I can teach an employee to do it, then I should be able to get AI to do this, right? And so I had this misconception that we build it once and you have it forever.
Yeah.
What I didn't realize is that's not true. And Tyler told me that in the beginning, the guy that built this for us, but I didn't really understand what that meant. Well, what he means is everything requires maintenance. And so as these LLMs progress and they send out new releases that happen on a routine basis, there are connections that can break and there are things that can happen with it. And so that's really where we learned, Rebecca and her team, the accountants would get frustrated, like, hey, I go to use this. It worked last month, and now all of a sudden it doesn't work. And then it became, well, it doesn't work all the time. And because we had this file size limitation that was put on us. So I guess the message is, it would have been real easy for Rebecca at that point to just toss it overboard and be like, AI is never going to work.
Right.
But that wasn't, it was more of, it's a learning process for all of us.
You can fix anything that has a little break. You just have to figure out how to fix it. And that's what we've done.
Yeah.
And Mitch has been extremely helpful in that because he has gotten into the weeds and been able to say, hey, here's the reasons why this doesn't work. And it makes us better on what we're building. Anytime in the future, we won't have that problem.
Right.
Or you'll know what to expect. So if you spend $10,000 on an agent, you should probably prepare to spend somewhere around $1,500 a year on maintenance on that agent because the platforms are going to increase their capabilities. And when they do, a new API key comes in, and then you've got to adjust your software piece. Or in your instance, what would happen is this agent was built for a January, February rollout, so the file sizes weren't that large. And then what happened, Rebecca, when you got to June?
We have much larger reports, right?
And so the financial statements were a lot longer. And so then now it's larger than a context window that the LLMs could digest and process. And so if
I go stick that in just ChatGPT, it can't process it.
Most likely it would not. Well, actually it doesn't. We tried it the other day because we were trying to figure out a solve for it. And then ultimately we upgraded the API to a newer, larger version, and it was able to handle it. Or you have to rag code it the right way so that it can break it apart.
Thank goodness for Mitch.
Some days.
Amen, yeah.
You're literally the only person who has ever said that in the history of.
There had to be one do it first.
Yes.
But now I think, having gone through this experience, as part of my regular operation, I think, okay, what could I use AI for every day? Like,
what else can
I use it for? Because it's proven to me that this is such a benefit. And I think throughout our organization at every level, it can be beneficial to have AI thought about first. Like, is there any way we can create an agent for this instead of doing stuff that one of the agents could handle very easily and very accurately.
So I have a great question for you. I think it's great. So we'll see if Terry agrees. But a lot of people are concerned AI is going to take their jobs. How many people did you fire when you launched this agent? And then how much does the team love it?
The team loves it because it helps identify small errors before they come across my desk. So it helps the people who are preparing it, and they review their work, of course, but sometimes it'll catch, you have somebody assembling a PDF for all these properties, and they could grab the wrong statement and attach it to a different financial. I mean, that's not totally out of the ordinary. And I would just say AI, I don't believe is going to replace property managers or accountants, but I believe those who don't use AI will be replaced by property managers and accountants who do use AI.
And you got rid of
zero people. Zero people. We still need to have the people to do all the other things, but I really feel like it can help management companies scale when they want to take on new business. You could say, do I really have to add an employee for this? I mean, if we're thinking in that way, what else can these solutions accomplish? It gives us the bandwidth within our own teams that we have today to scale our business and take on more with additional clients versus just thinking, oh, let's hire another person. So,
what else? Northbridge is well prepared for more property, right?
That's right. Yes. You got any more properties? Anybody needing any properties managed? Rebecca's got it.
And you've built a culture where your team is kind of hungry for more AI, and they're not threatened by it. They're excited about it.
I think they're excited about it. I just bought everybody Plods on Plod AI on my team, and they're excited to use them and start really embracing it, because if we don't embrace it, it's not going to be good. We have to embrace it.
Yeah.
One thing you didn't mention, Mitch, that was, I think, a byproduct of all of this was just the quality and the timeliness of our delivery to the end user. Mm-hmm. Because it really doesn't take anybody any longer to go through this process and run it through this filter and this agent do its work. It doesn't take any longer. But in our old manual way, I remember in helping try to build this for Rebecca, one of the frustrations was just the amount of, it's deep thought required for her to do this. So it would be like Rebecca is off limits and she's totally focused on doing this the manual way. And sometimes that would be on a weekend. Mm-hmm. And so she would be up here maybe on a Saturday, and then she would discover errors. And let's say out of those 100 properties, maybe she's got 5 properties that had errors in them. Well, now there's nobody here. The accounting team is not at work. So she then takes those, has to send them back. And now we burn another couple of days. Mm-hmm. And so that doesn't happen today. So now if they make an error, it's like having Rebecca review it. When they run it through the agent, it's like having Rebecca review it, and they get instant feedback. So if there's an error, they get to fix it right then, and then they get it to her. So I think the overall delivery to the client is much more streamlined.
It's seamless, really. And it probably takes 30 to 60 seconds to get the result. And sometimes it's not even that long, depending on how big your file is. Mm-hmm. So the accountant can get immediate feedback. And that, I mean, it's going to make us better. It just makes you better.
Wow. Mm-hmm. What a great testimony for AI and this particular agent. Thanks for sharing all of that.
It's my pleasure. It was fun.
I think that's what we're doing here is trying to kind of get us all thinking a little bit more AI first. The way Terry put it to you, where's your pain points? What's really sucking up your time? Let's identify those and evaluate each one on its face. Is this something AI can help with or not? In this case, wow, no brainer. It obviously has been a real game changer for you and your
Absolutely.
business. Yeah. All right. Well, that's it for this week's episode of Weeks Ahead AI. I think we're weeks, many months ahead now with Rebecca here. I think probably
Bold
needs to be a
statement from
regular.
Brad.
Well, I think she needs to be a regular. I'm not sure which one of us she's going to replace, but yeah, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for
Rebecca.
having me.
All right. Well, until next time, keep sending us any comments, questions you have, any ideas like this. You're like, man, that sounds great. How do you build it? Mitch will tell you. So reach out to us. We can point you in the right direction. Until next time, stay weeks ahead.